Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm glad to see ya. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on your way out so you don't miss anything, because I'm changing the format of this type of video. Well, usually it would be just a singular, very long, what's my EO, right? Well, I'm going to split it up into 3 parts this time, and I would also like to introduce you to my dog Monet. Who's such a good boy. Anyway, so I hope you like the new format. Today we're all going to talk about the herb itself, the etymology, where the name came from, taxonomy, where it fits on the scale, those types of things, and its cultivation, how you can grow it at home. And then on Wednesday we're going to talk about the essential oil and its uses, and then Friday we're going to go into the specific oils and science. And today, or this week, we're going to be talking about lavender all week long. So, Lavender Week. Give me a thumbs up if you like this format of things before you head on out, so I know whether you like it or not. And don't forget to leave comments below if you have questions about this or anything else that I could possibly help you with. So, let's get started. Lavender is one of the most beloved herbs and essential oils in the world. It is also one of the most versatile. You can use it medicinally, culinarily, and for aromatherapy. It is known to be calming and relaxing, and I hope you're going to really enjoy this new format of oils where I do something on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday about a specific herb, their stuff or their information, and their essential oil. So let's get started. Lavender, it's also known by its name Lavandula, is a genus of 39 recognized types of blossoming plants that are related to mint. It is native to the Old World and originates from Cape Verde to the Canary Islands, Europe throughout northern and eastern Africa, the Mediterranean, Southwest Asia to Southeast India. The class incorporates early year or fleeting herbaceous plants and bush-like perennials. Each leaf shape is also different between the species. In others, there are ones that look like pine needles. In some, there are ones that look like the branch of a locust tree, or a pinnate, where there's one leaf on top and there's some leaves out on the sides. In many species, held in the fine hairs, or indementum, the leaves, typically contain the essential oils. Blooms are borne in whorls on spikes growing above the foliage. The flower spikes can be seen in a few varieties, and a few of these species produce hued bracts at the apices. Here's a brief summary. The blossoms might be blue, or violet, or lilac in some wild species. And every so often, there might be one that is so purple it is almost black. There are also yellow ones and white ones and many other colors in between. Now, the calyx of this, which is the part that is in the middle of the flower, in a daisy it's small and sometimes yellow or orange and a little fuzzy. In lavender, it's tubular. The corolla is also tubular. Now, for the most part, there are 5 cusps. The upper lip, or the labellum, is regularly split, and the lower lip has 2 clefts. Terminology and taxonomy. There are several different species that were known in Roman times, but not as many as there are today. Now, from the medieval times and into modern records, the European species were viewed as 2 separate gatherings or genera. There are even more in the species of stochas and lavandula, and they were not separated out or conjoined. They were just 2 different things until Linnaeus. I know you've heard of him. I've talked about him a few different times. Anyway, Linnaeus joined them into one group, and from the other observations he made, he just perceived 5 different species of lavender. Now, the multifida and the dentata is in Spain. The stochas and the spica are from southern Europe, and the peduncula was merged with the inside with another subspecies of the stochas. And here's a little something from his book, Species Plantarum, which you can actually find in English translation on Amazon. I will have a link below. Well, you know, one of the major players at this time was Dorothy Chater, and she was essentially discovered doing all this stuff in 1937 at Kew. Now, what she did was she took 28 different species of lavender and she separated out into sections. And these sections were then further divided into subsections. So she did a bit more observation than Linnaeus and that anyone else had ever done since that time. And she was able to further divide subspecies from species. And she divided it out into those that are more used for commercial and cultivated reasons, and those that are used for more gardening at home and creating hybrids. Now, as of late, the work has been finished that has begun before by Upson and Andrews, and at present Lavandula is considered to have 3 subgenera. The lavandula is for most the woody ones that are bushy and full of branches, and it contains most of the principal species developed and are used mainly for their plants themselves to be ornamental and oils. They are found all over the Mediterranean district to Upper East Africa and Western Arabia. Now, the fabrica. It comprises of bushes and herbs and shrubs, and it has an extensive conveyance from the Atlantic to India, and it contains some very fancy plants. Sabaudia includes a pair of species that originate in the southwest Arabian promontory and Eritrea, which are somewhat particular from alternate species and are now and then set in their own variety, Sabaudia. There are also numerous hybrids and cultivars in commercial and horticultural usage, which don't really fit into many singular subcategories themselves. The etymology of the word lavender. It gets a little squirrely, so bear with me. All of the source links and stuff are going to be below if you get confused. Because trust me, I was confused too. The English word lavender, for the most part, is thought to be gotten from the Old French lavandre, at last from the Latin lavare, which means to wash, alluding to the utilization of mixtures of the plants. The botanic name lavandula, as utilized by Linnaeus, is thought to be identified by this and other European language names for the plants. In any case, it is recommended that this clarification might actually be false, and the name may be gotten from the Latin livere, meaning bluish. The names utilized for a portion of the categories English, French, and Spanish lavender are all connected. English lavender is regularly utilized for angustifloria. However, a few references actually say that the best possible term is Old English lavender. The name French lavender might be employed to allude to the stochas and the dentata species, and the Spanish lavender might also actually refer to the stochas and dentata species as well as the lanata. If you get confused as much as I do, links below. Cultivation. English lavender, or Lavandula angustifloria, earlier named Lavandula officinalis, is the most common in gardens. However, an extensive variety of cultivars can be found. Other developed elaborate species such as the stochas, dentata, and multifida, or Egyptian lavender, are also becoming more readily available. Since they are grown around the world, they are once in a while discovered growing wild as patio nurseries and our gardens, they get away from us sometimes, or we move away and the gardens have to be abandoned. Well, anyway, they go past their reach, and usually it is, of course, non-invasive as a best case scenario. However, and like with other species, lavandula have ended up becoming obtrusive. For instance, in Australia, Lavandula stochas has turned into a reason for concern. It happens all through the mainland and has been pronounced a harmful weed in Victoria since 1920. Additionally, it is viewed as a weed in parts of Spain. Who knew? Homegrown. How can you grow it at home? It's really easy to do, actually, and I'm going to tell you how. If you have a green thumb, this might be old hat, but for some of us, not myself included, but some of us are new to the whole gardening thing and want to have a little bit more to know. So here you go. Lavenders prosper best with dry soil that is well drained. So it's best not to use too much organic soil. If you do use soil, make sure you add sand, some rocks, old pottery shards to allow for good drainage. They like to be in full sun, and they like to be dry, have a period of dryness between waterings. So put your finger in the soil for about maybe an inch, probably 2 inches, and see if it's still wet. If it is still wet, give it a little bit more time. Try it the next day. And like orchids, they do not like having their feet wet. So, like I said, putting the larger pieces of substrate in there, like the rocks, help the soil get more aeration to the roots, as well as draining away excess water faster. And the great thing with our common lavenders that are available to us, they really do not need any fertilizer at all. If you want it to get a little fancy, you can add some, good compost, but that's really all they need. They don't need a lot. And they do love to have air circulating through the soil, and that's where the large shards and the rocks and the sand come in. Now, if you're in an area of high humidity, you might have a problem with a disease called root rot, which is actually made by a fungus that is attracted to the humid, stuffy, moist soil, organic soil specifically. you know, that's really, really rich, like right from a compost heap or something that's been turned. Anyway, to avoid this, use the sand, the rocks, the shards, the whatever, or even marbles from the dollar store if you don't have nothing else. Put those in the soil of the pot or whatever you're using, and it'll help to keep the water away from the roots. And so that is how you grow it. It's really not difficult at all. So anyway, I hope that helps. Well, I hope you found part 1 interesting and informative and a hell of a lot shorter than the regular What's My EO. So if you like this format, please give it a thumbs up so I know to continue to do it. Leave me comments below if you have any questions, ideas, or just want to chat. We're a whole community here, and don't forget to head on over to my personal channel, Essentially Niki. I'll leave the link down below, of course. And I will see you next time, so take care, everyone. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on your way out, thumbs up, and share with your friends if you find something interesting about it. Bye.